I did what I had done in the past for probably 20 years. I had 4 hours in between shows, so I went and had dinner and I had a couple of glasses of wine. Problem is that, my body has changed and I can't drink anymore. And I didn't realize it. And that's one of the bad problems about the way my alcoholism has jumped up and bit me in the ass. All the time I've been drinking, all my drinking life, I knew where that line was. I knew when enough was enough. I knew when I felt I was too buzzed to work or too buzzed to drive or too buzzed to do anything. I lost that ability and didn't know it. And I ended up drinking in between shows and I went on the air. And I was more affected than I thought I was. Even at the time, I felt like I was perfectly fine. And I ended up getting pulled off the air. People were calling. They were thinking that I was having a stroke. It was the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. I got pulled off the air. My boss had to come in from home and demanded that I threw me into an Uber and sent me home. And I have not been on the air at my station at NBC4 in Washington ever since that moment.
Hi, friend. Welcome to Call Me Friend, the podcast where we call my friends, powered by Miss Luz Capin, which is where we will be calling today. First, a little bit about my old world of TV network news. There probably is a feeling out there that when you have a co-anchor, that's somebody who's going to just kind of stab you in the back, look out for themselves, not be there for you. I will tell you, in my time at CNN, I had two co-anchors, TV husbands, if you will, and that negative situation was not my experience at all. Both TV husbands have agreed to let me call them for this podcast. The one we will call today, it's particularly important. Let me tell you about Leon Harris. Professional highlight. Leon and I were co-anchors sitting on the set on 9/11 when the second plane ran into the World Trade Center. And honestly, that is just one of the really big stories that we covered together. And he was always there for me, always backing me up, just like I was doing for him. That's from the outside. From the inside, Leon simply made it a joy to come to work every single day. Why? Because Leon was that big brother, that cheerleader, that newsroom leader that I think everybody wishes they could have in their workplace. He is also such a natural talent. I don't think I've ever met or seen anybody who's more of a natural talent in front of a camera than Leon is. I worked a lot of years to get good being in front of a camera. Leon, first day he sat in front of the camera, a natural, just the best ever. I would definitely call him one of my best friends from the days that I worked at CNN. And here's the funny thing. I know there's people who are listening or watching this who have also been lucky enough to work with Leon, who are saying, hold on a second, Daryn, you say Leon was your best friend? No, he was my best friend. And here's the thing. I know you're not wrong. Leon is just that guy. He has been there for so many people. A few years before I left CNN, Leon left and went to Washington, D.C. He worked for a couple of local affiliates. He became a legend in the nation's capital. Washington, D.C. is also where Leon's struggle with alcohol and addiction became much more public. There were some very big incidents, including one that happened last November that led ultimately to the end of his TV news career. And Leon has been pretty private ever since then. I don't know if you've seen the headlines. I don't know how much you know, but you probably have a lot of questions about what happened and most importantly, how Leon is doing now. And there's only one way to find out. Let's call Leon. Hey, you.
Hey, you. I haven't heard that in a while.
It is the understatement of the year to say how good it is to see you.
No, that goes both ways. We are so overdue. And especially since I hear you moved out into the middle of the country, I need to make a point of coming down there to see you and all the wildlife you're calling neighbors now. In fact, last time I saw you, you did have some semi-wild neighbors. You had chickens, next to one of the most prestigious golf courses in all of the Atlanta region. You were keeping chickens. And now you move all the way out in the middle of the woods. I love that.
We are, on the Georgia coast. This is Miss Luz cabin. This is where you'll get to stay when you come down and see me in Trent.
Well, I can't wait. Can't wait. Miriam told me a lot about it.
Yeah, some of CNNers have been here. They have definitely been here.
Yeah. Well, you're much better at keeping up with the old family than I am. I confess. I am not good at that. And so that's why for me, I love it when I open my phone and I see, any of your names or any of the names from the CNN family. And then I feel guilty as hell because I'm not the one who made the call first. So thank you for reaching out.
Well, you could call it reaching out or chasing down.
Yeah.
On the phone. It's me.
That works too. Yeah.
As you said, when I was telling you about this podcast, I go, oh, it's where I call my friends. It's like, well, that fits.
Yeah. And it's amazing how you kill me with this. You come up with a way to get paid to do what you would do ordinarily anyway. There's a genius in that. There's a genius in that, Dak. My hat's off to you.
Thank you. Well, you're talking about not being in touch, but you've been through some things.
Yeah. Yeah. My life has not been boring. I can tell you that. It has not been boring, but you know what? It's been edifying. It's been, life is not very interesting if nothing happens to you. But, it'd be nice if you could choose what happens to you a little bit. At least in my case, it'd be nice if I had chosen better about some of the things that have happened. But, in the end, things have gotten me to a place where I'm good. I'm happy. I'm healthy and I'm reconnecting with all my old friends. So, I almost can't complain, about the road, whether it's been, hilly or not.
Well, first of all, thank you. Because when I said, can we do a call? You said, yeah, let's do it. Like you didn't hesitate. You just said, let's do it. And we didn't talk about anything that we're going to talk about or not talk about. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that kind of scares me.
Well, we talk about stuff like that's been our history. We've shared a lot of stuff. So, and I do have a lot of questions. So what I would like would be to be able to ask. And if I ask the wrong thing or it's something you don't want to talk about, then we don't have to include it and we can just move on. But can I just ask?
Sure. I'm an open book.
Okay.
For better or for worse.
Okay. Can we start with what happened last November? The very public thing that happened on the air.
Yeah. A very public thing that I am still, the repercussions of which I'm still dealing with. Both professionally, domestically, personally. I've had a battle with alcohol and no, let me rephrase that. I've had a battle with alcoholism. And I didn't fully respect it. As they say in the AA rooms, it's baffling and it's cunning. And, if you've got that problem, no matter what you're doing right now, it's outside lifting weights, getting stronger. And I did not really fully appreciate that. And so I thought I had it under control. I had gone through rehab, about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And, I thought that I had learned everything I needed to learn. I thought I had a good program. I was going to meetings. I had been in what's called, intensive outpatient therapy. I thought I had everything in place, but one of the triggers that I have that I didn't do a good enough job on working with is what to do when there's nothing to do. I have a bad problem with being bored and not having something to keep me occupied. And so what I did was I slipped. And what we do during the holiday season on the air, we have lots of shows that sometimes get, either truncated, they get shortened, or they get preempted because of sports. And so in Thanksgiving time, we had a lot of sports programming on, so we didn't have newscasts for long blocks of the day. And I was the vacation relief guy, so I was basically covering almost all of the day. And I did what I had done in the past for probably 20 years. I had 4 hours in between shows, so I went and had dinner and I had a couple of glasses of wine. Problem is that, my body has changed. And I can't drink anymore. And I didn't realize it. And that's one of the bad problems about the way my alcoholism has jumped up and bit me in the ass. All the time I've been drinking, all my drinking life, I knew where that line was. I knew when enough was enough. I knew when I felt I was too buzzed to work or too buzzed to drive or too buzzed to do anything. I lost that ability and didn't know it. And I ended up drinking in between shows, and I went on the air. And I was more affected than I thought I was. Even at the time, I felt like I was perfectly fine. And I ended up getting pulled off the air. People were calling. They were thinking that I was having a stroke. It was it was the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. I got pulled off the air. My boss had to come in from home, and demanded that threw me into an Uber and sent me home. And, I have not been on the air at my station at NBC4 in Washington ever since that moment. That happened. And of course, you know what happens when anything hits the internet, it never dies. And it just took on a life of its own. And as a result, I kind of knew it was coming, but the station just felt like it was too much of a negative event and was too well publicized that they didn't feel comfortable in bringing me back, even though I left and went immediately into rehab at a place in Cherry Hill, New Jersey called Recovery Village. And there I got the help that I wish I had gotten the first time around. They told me some things. And the very first thing I did when I got there was I sat down with a psychiatrist. Didn't sit down with a therapist. Didn't sit down with, a fellow addict or anything. They put me in a room with a psychiatrist to sort of figure out what exactly to get to the root of what was happening with me. And between that and some medications that I tried, it was fantastic. It flipped a perfect switch for me in my head. I got my head completely rewired. I haven't even thought about having a drink since December 14th. So it's been, that part of it has been great. However, seeing a psychiatrist, which I'm still doing, I have no problems admitting that. Seeing a psychiatrist, going to AA meetings multiple times a week, going to SMART recovery meetings as well.
Wait, what is that? What is SMART recovery? SMART
stands for self-management and recovery training. It's different from AA. For those who have any familiarity with AA, there's a really heavy emphasis on tapping into your higher power. In order to help you navigate your way through these things and try to help reorient yourself and submit to the fact that you are powerless over alcohol, and and the only way to be cleared of it or clean from it is to submit to a power that's more powerful than yourself. And so for a lot of people that feels too religious oriented. SMART does the same sort of thing, but SMART gives you tactics to deal with things that are frankly smart. It's really cool. Can I tell you one quick example?
Please do.
I hate to take over this whole conversation.
You said you wanted to be a podcaster. You're podcasting.
But like for instance, I learned something really, really cool. Like, there's a big difference between cravings and urges. You can crave something for weeks. Like I love potato chips and I love pizza, but I'm diabetic and I got to cut back on carbs. So I constantly am craving, I would love to grab a bag of chips, or I'd love to eat a pizza like I used to do 3 days a week. Can't do that anymore. However, an urge is like right now I'm driving past my favorite pizza place, Andy's Pizza. And I said, I see it. I gotta have it. And I stop. Okay. Urges last maybe 45 seconds. As it turns out, so what you do is you try to find a way to redirect your brain for 45 seconds. You can do almost anything for 45 seconds. Well, I tried that. I was stuck in an airport, and in between 3 bars, there were 3 bars on each side of the gate that I was at. And I said, well, I didn't really have an urge or anything, but I said, you know what? I'm starting to look at that and get a little tempted. I said, let me see what I can do. I looked at the airport directory and found there was a Starbucks 11 gates away. I said, well, that should take about 45 seconds at least. Took about 2 minutes. Got there, waited in line. I had my Kindle with me, so I sat there and read a chapter of one of my books while I was drinking a coffee. Next thing you know, I look up and it was 45 minutes that I had been gone and didn't even think about having a drink at all. So SMART recovery does things like that. It gives you tactics like that to help you. And so I've been doing all of that. And it still was not enough for my bosses, for the company to place any more trust in me, which I could understand. I could completely understand, which I'm working
Hold on,
with.
we're doing the whole big thing. I want to go back for a second.
No, okay.
Go back to that night. I think it was really interesting. You felt when this was happening that you were in control, like when you were on the set and you're reading, and when you look at that video now and you see how you were, does that shock you that your brain was telling you, oh, what's the problem? So you thought like the producer who's pulling you off and your boss, they were wrong, that you had this under control.
I didn't think they were, I don't want to say the word wrong, but I mean, because ultimately it's their show. They're the bosses. But I just didn't think that they were being fair. I was like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm just, I'm good. Just, geez Louise, let me just relax, get something to eat and come back and do the 11 o'clock show. I've done this before. I've done this 100 times, which was a shameful thing to admit to them. So no, it was, and of course, looking at the video later, it was gut wrenching. I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that I was that far gone. And it was clear and it was obvious. And I tell you what happened to me almost at that moment, Daryn, was that it made me think immediately, man, how many other times was I like that I didn't realize, and that other people saw me? Man, how many other people did I negatively impress that way? That's something that haunts me to this day. And knowing that it's on the internet and it's still alive is something that I'll never be able to live down or get away from. I'm getting phone calls from people from people I went to high school with, guys I haven't talked to in 45, 50 years who are contacting me now because they saw it. And every single one of them thinks that I'm about to jump in front of a bus right now. They all think I'm about to die because I look so bad. And I try to tell them, hey, listen, no, that was months ago. It's a different situation now. I'm okay. But I have to re-explain that every time. And then every time I get that message in the phone or get a message on social media or someone texts me, Daryn, it's another reminder that I screwed up. So it's, I tell you, on the one hand, it's great to see that I've got a lot of people that care about me and that they're being supportive. I appreciate the support because it'd be awful to go through this and not have that. But at the same time, to have that every single time is a reminder that I did something stupid and that I screwed up and I did something that was life altering and career altering.
And when you went through these next steps, you said you went to rehab in New Jersey, you met with a psychiatrist, you started all these programs.
Yeah.
Was it with the goal and the intention that you thought you would have your whole life back? Like, oh, I'll go do all these things and the job will be waiting and my family will be waiting and my friends will be waiting. Yeah. What was the expectation?
I didn't know that they would be waiting, but I knew that I could not come back in any way the same guy. That ride, I took that 2.5 hour ride, 2 hours and 15 minutes to get from my house to that recovery place. By the way, I booked my admission there on a Sunday and I was so just distraught. I couldn't wait. So I drove up there Saturday and waited in the parking lot until Sunday to get in. I waited. Yes, I sat in my car for hours before they would even let me in. Because that ride up there was the absolute worst ride of my life. But at the same time, it was probably the most important 2 hours and 15 minutes I've ever spent by myself because I really got it. The previous time I'd gone to rehab, I did what most addicts do. I just said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get through this and get out of it. And which is the wrong attitude. This time around, I went up and it was like the movie of my life getting replayed in my head every single mile. Something else occurred to me that I screwed up. Something else occurred to me in an event or something that I did that alcohol was involved. As they say, it wasn't that every time I drank, I did something bad, but every time I did something bad, I had been drinking. And it was every single one of those things just replayed themselves in my head. I saw the things I had done that were not fair to my marriage. I saw things that I had done that were not fair to my colleagues. I saw things that I had done that were just stupid and risked my own health. And at the time when I was doing those things, I had the misfortune of being able to get away with it. And it's like what happens with, I will just say, if you are a person who is constantly MacGyvering your way through life, you can find a way to just get through the next 10 minutes, which is what a con artist is only concerned about. The next 10 minutes. What do I do to get through this next 10 minutes? If I can get through 10 minutes with you and have you think differently than you're thinking right now, I won and I'm good. And I was good at that. And that was my problem. And it kicked me in my ass that whole trip up there. So by the time I got there, like I said, I got there early, I could have left. And, I didn't. And then when I got there, Daryn, here's the other thing that was a real kick in the ass. I had decided I'm good. This is it. I am not leaving here until I get what I'm supposed to get. Whatever God, has forced me to come here to get, I'm getting it no matter what happens. Whether I'm still married when I get out of here or whether I'm still a news anchor when I get out of here, I got to be healthy no matter what. But then 10 days into it, I found out my insurance wasn't covering it. They decided that no, since they didn't choose where I went, they weren't going to pay for it. And so I was on the hook for it for $1,000 a day. And it was a 2-week course. And then when I get to the end of the 2-week course, I contact my agent to talk about the plan to bring me back. And he's like, well, the folks at the station probably don't think that 2 weeks is enough. You're going to need to stay longer. And I said, well, hey, that means I'm dipping into my retirement to pull this off. And he's like, well, you know what? It's probably worth it. So guess what I did? That's exactly what I did. And I ended up staying for like another 8-9 days. So it cost me a fortune out of my own pocket. And then, so I did all that. And then did the medications, which I'm still using because they're fantastic. And so I'm still seeing a therapist. And
let me jump in again. Tell me about these medications. What do you take? What are you taking and what is it doing for you?
Well, generally speaking, when you do these things, they only recommend that you do one. But, I said, me, Mr. Overdo it. I said, give me everything you got.
Throw it at me.
There's two different medications and they do two different things. One is Naltrexone, which in your head short circuits the reward pathways that are built in your brain, the serotonin release that you get when you enjoy something. So when you drink, you don't get the buzz. And so people take that stuff and they try to drink over it and it's like drinking water. And with this one exception, it's like drinking water that can give you alcohol poisoning. So it's water that puts you in the hospital. So the more you drink and you get no effect, you get pissed off, you get fed up with it. So you just say, you know what? It's not for me anymore. So a lot of people, in fact, a lot of people in the Smart Recovery program use that to sort of like just ease their way out of it. The other one is a camprosate, or known as Camperil. And that one is the one that fights the urges. So it really dampens the urges. And I can honestly say I haven't had an urge outside of that one moment in the airport. And that really wasn't so much of an urge. It was just a matter of, I could get away with this if I wanted to. I'm in another city. Nobody here knows who I am. And there's 3 bars here. If I wanted to, I could get away with this.
You heard that voice again talking to you.
I heard that voice, that MacGyver voice, the MacGyver voice in my head.
Come on, we can do it. Come on.
So for me, the combination of those two pills are great because one stops the urges and the other one, if I did do something anyway, I wouldn't feel it and wouldn't enjoy it. And so that for me it's been great. There's one other one that people also take. That's you get a shot in the ass and that one makes you throw up if you get anywhere near alcohol.
Well, you've gotten a kick in the ass, so that...
There's been enough attention back there.
There's been that. And then, for all that you've done for this program, for dipping in your own pocket, for taking these drugs, the thing at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, isn't necessarily there. You did all those things. Tell me about when the station came to you and said, not this time, Leon, I think we're done. Yeah.
And Daryn, I have to say the thing I'm proudest of is that I didn't think about having a drink afterwards, which is one thing I probably would have run to. The minute they said that, they put the hammer down. They invited me. We were supposed to be having lunch to talk about how to bring me back. And suddenly they stopped talking to me for about 2 weeks. And then I get a phone call to say, come into the station. And it was like, okay, that doesn't feel right. And then I got there, and that's when they said, that was a bridge too far, Leon. We can't do it. We can't bring you back. So that's it. And, but and so I left there, like I said, and didn't think about having a drink. And I said to myself in the car in the parking lot, what do I do now? And then I just shrugged. I had literally shrugged and said, well, whatever it is I do, I'm going to do it healthy. No matter what. I didn't just do it for them. I did it for me too. And so no matter what happens, I'm going to be healthy. And that to me is probably more valuable. Because I tell you, Daryn, I thought about this. And I've been talking to my therapist about this, and it just kind of came up a little while ago. Having that job and having the status and the responsibilities that came with that actually may have been part of the reason why I was drinking. I mean, because there's so much that you got to do, and you have to put your head, the places you got to put your head in. And especially with me being a black man in this town doing that job, there are so many different expectations that in the minute I walk outside the door, all of that gets weighed upon me instantly. I do so much work out in the community with so many different various groups because I want to give back, and they expect me to. And there are communities, especially in the black community, that really expect a lot of me. And so all that stuff was weighing on me in ways I really wasn't fully appreciating. And, my doc was telling me it just helped me work through the fact that I was probably using that to help myself cope with all the other stuff that came with the job. So not having the job might actually be one of the healthier things I can do. And I'm finding out there's a lot of other things I can do that, I can do that don't come with all that baggage. So in a way, in retrospect, looking in the rearview mirror, that day was awful, but it may have been liberating. It may have been a good day.
I like to say being let go. It's to be let go, but you also let go to go do whatever the next thing is supposed to do.
So it's just, and again, as awful and as gut wrenching as that ride was, man, when you see everything that you need to work on, if you're a person like me, I'll put it just on myself. When you see all the things that you need to work on, it's a challenge. It's like my golf swing. Every time I go out there.
Oh, now let's not talk about true tragedies. You're going to go to golf. That's a whole other call.
You know that. But every time I have an awful swing and I shank one, I see something I have to work on, and I want to throw myself into it. So that's what I'm doing with the rest of my life as well. A journalisty kind of question that would come from a cynical place would be, why is this time different? There have been other stumbles. There have been other public stumbles. Why now? That is a great and fair question. This time is different for me because that ride up to New Jersey was unlike any I've ever had. That was unlike any 2 hours I've ever spent with myself. And I think I got more honest with myself then than I have ever been in my life. And the only way I'm going to prove that what I learned from that and what I'm doing that is my behavior and is what I do. I've just got to do it every single day. There's nothing as I've learned, there's nothing I can say that is going to fix anything. That ride up there, I guess maybe the reason why this one felt different is because that sank in. MacGyver days are over. I can't say anything to get out of this or to make people think anything differently about me. I've got to do it. I got to show it. And I really want it. I was so proud of myself, Daryn. I went home to visit my mom and my family for an event. My stepdad turned 90. And I went home for that, and I was so proud that it was the first time in years that I had gone home completely sober. Went through all the family drama that you get on a trip home, and didn't get tempted once, and was proud, and was on the way out when I left, was happy when each of my brothers took me aside and said something about it. It was like, man, you look good, you sound good. It looks like you're a different guy. And that was something that to me was the best gift I could have gotten, over the past 5, 6 months. So, that's what I think is different, Daryn, is that I've got to prove it. And I'm willing to take that up because I've got to. If I don't, I'm not going to be healthy. I could kill myself with this stuff. And that's one of the things I thought about, Daryn, on that ride up. There was like, how many times was I driving? Because I'm thinking I'm good. I'm thinking I'm fine. I thought I was fine on the air, oops, I lost my light. I thought I was fine. And lo and behold, I wasn't. How many times was I behind the wheel like that? I could have killed somebody, and thank God I didn't. So knowing that, I just feel like in a lot of ways, I got lucky. I got another chance, and I can't blow it. I can't blow this one.
And as the alcohol goes away and you are sober, are there things that you're having to look at? I mean, the alcohol wasn't just for fun. It was to self-medicate, right? And to not look and to not feel. Are there things, going way back, that you're having to look at that are really painful?
There are things that I'm looking at, my relationship with my father being one of them. I didn't really have one. And in fact, it was a negative when I used to use the Leon rule. I was always saying in life, whatever he would do, I'd do the exact opposite. And it worked for me. It got me into college, got me through college, got me a job got me a career and, and all the trappings that come along with it. But that was something that was buried, that needed to be resolved. And, my uncle, his brother died, back in August. Actually, and so we ended up having a family get together back in January, to celebrate. And, I got a chance to reconcile and bury some things and deal with some things because of that I didn't realize that alcohol was a big part of that as well. And that's one of the things about quitting is, your memory gets better, your head gets clearer, and things like that come up and you're like, oh, I didn't really realize how much of an impact that was having on me, or I didn't realize that, that I needed to address that. Or you start remembering, like, oh yeah, I remember that now. I remember that wedding where I damn near fell down a flight of stairs. Yeah, I remember that now. Things that you realize that you have to be held accountable for and make amends for. And it feels bad, but then when you do it, it feels good. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that bubbling up.
I guess the most important question for me to you of this whole phone call is, do you know how much I love you and how much I care about you and how much I've worried about you? It's not about me. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you.
Oh, you're going to make me... Stop that.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know. I do know. And
this isn't a one-way street. This isn't like, oh, here's Daryn calling Leon to be there for you. You have been there for me. No. I've had my own stuff, right? And and a bunch of stuff, and we've shared a lot.
No, we are like this.
Yeah.
On so much. And Daryn, that's one reason why it was so hard for me to call you back at first. Doing what I did and going down the way I did so publicly and in such an embarrassing fashion, it hurt like hell to call the people I love the most, because I felt like they're the ones I let down the most. You are you are a true saint to me, because when I did finally talk with you, it was as if, you didn't see the sin. You saw the sinner, not the sin. And you're one of the first people who really convinced me that you believe that I'm not the worst thing that I did. And I love that about you, and I appreciate you for that. And I have no idea. Like I said, having the support is incredible, as painful as it is to realize that each time people support me, it's a reminder that I effed up. But you being there for me, Daryn, meant the world. Means the world.
Well, I am. And come see us. Come stay here.
I will.
This is forget all that rehab. There's no better treatment than coming down to the marsh.
Someday we're going to have to talk here about our time together on the set. Some of the best years of my life, even though we had the worst hours. Waking up at 2:00 in the morning to go to work, and then you get there and you're with the best people in the world. It was the best of times and the worst of times.
Well, one thing I realized by doing this call and calling you one of my best friends are the people who are going to be pissed at me to go, what do you mean he's your best friend? No, he's my best friend. I mean, there's a lot of people in a business where people tend to maybe don't like each other. There's nobody, and I know this, there's nobody more beloved than you. Oh. You have a lot of people. It's true. I'm just being the reporter. I'm just being the reporter on that. That is not me being nice.
I don't know about that, and I don't think I deserve that. But I tell you what, I'll take it.
Okay. Well, you take that and you tuck that in your pocket and make that be one of the tools and the things that's going to power you along. Because I know I'm just one of many people who are really rooting for you.
Your friendship is helping me power things along, and I'm telling you, Daryn, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And you know that. You know that. Yes,
I do. And I will have you back on because, I like to call a lot.
That is true.
I'll call again. That's what I do. Thank you so much for taking this call. I appreciate it. Love you, friend.
Thank you. All right. See you soon.
Bye. Oh, well, that was everything I wanted and more from that call. And yes, I probably said the wrong thing and I might have even asked the wrong questions, but they all came from my heart. And I just can't thank Leon enough for being honest, for showing up, and most importantly, for doing the work, to stay Leon. He's still Leon, even though he's going through his things. And I hope that was of value to people who know Leon and those who don't know Leon. And it was worth making the call. And the only thing I can say to you is if you have somebody who is going through something, whether it's addiction, anything else, just pick up the phone and call. Even if you're going to say the wrong thing. It's scary and it's big, but boy, is it worth it. Do it for the friends that you love. One of my favorite things to do every day is to check in on the friends line to see who has called me. And yesterday there was a call from Joy, who called in to talk about the friend who decades ago changed her life when she was a teenager going to community college and looking for a little direction. A particular friend changed the direction of her life forever. Thanks for calling, Joy.
Hi, Daryn. Boy, I'm so happy to have responded to your requests. There's hands down Dr. John Kagan. When he was a counselor at Atlanta Community College in New Jersey, I was a 17-year-old student. And the way that he supported me throughout my 2 years at the community college, got me into NYU for 2 years, hired me back at the college to work as a counselor. He totally set the stage for my life, for my success, for the way that I view people. He said, once you can never give people too many chances, and I live by that, and I let them take chances and whatever they need to succeed. So it is with great pleasure that I talk about Dr. John Kagan changed the trajectory of this poor little girl's life, and I am forever grateful. And by the way, we've had a friendship for over 50 years. Now that's friendship, and that's a blessing. Bye-bye.
A reminder that this podcast isn't just about my friends. It's about your friends that you want the world to know about, that you want me to know about. That's why I have a number that you can call me friend, and let me know about your friends. The number is 912-766-0446. You can call at any time of day. I don't hear the phone ring, and leave a message. I would love to have your wisdom and your insight and maybe even share it here on the podcast. That number once again is 912-766-0446. And it's down in the show notes if I was talking too fast for you. But please call me friend. You've been listening to Call Me Friend. Executive producers for the show are Daryn Kagan and me, Daryn Kagan. The show is produced by Produce Your Podcast and Journeyist Inc. Production by Abe Fallick and Tammy Gagnon. This episode is powered by Miss Lou's Cabin, an Airbnb property on a remote section of the Georgia coast.
Before you go, Call Me Friend is more than a podcast, it's a community. So head over to callmefriendpodcast.com to join the conversation. Or you can call or send a text to 912-766-0446, and you can leave Daryn a message there, or maybe even share a story of your own. Because when life gets real, you don't have to go it alone. Call a friend. Call this friend.